is recommended for those 16 and over, as it contains sporting violence, possible bad language, and flashing imagery.
Sex clauses during the film.
welcome you to Fight Night in Inglewood. The backdrop to the City of Stars and a stone's throw from SoFi Stadium sits the YouTube Theater, where South Central's Diego Pacheco looks to take the next step of his career tonight on DAZN. Good evening, everybody. Welcome inside the YouTube Theater here on Before the Bell, alongside the former junior welterweight champ of the world, Chris Algieri. I'm Justin Shackle. Main card on DAZN coming up at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, and it'll all lead into the main event. The 19-0 Diego Pacheco returning to his hometown, Los Angeles, to fight against the former world title challenger, Marcelo Coceres. And Chris, Diego is in his stiffest test yet as a pro. What are you anxious to find out about Pacheco when the 22-year-old steps into the ring tonight?
Listen, Pacheco checks all the boxes, and the way that he's been performing lately, we're not really sure. There's some question marks. If a guy like Coceres, who's got grit and is durable and has that experience, can take him late, we may be able to answer some of those questions tonight.
We mentioned Pacheco's record, 19-0, 16 knockouts, 8 straight stoppages. We know what Coceres is capable of standing tall with Billy Joe Saunders, knocking down Edgar Berlanga. He comes into tonight at 32-5-1. That is the main event. We'll get you started here tonight on Before the Bell, and let's take a peek at what is coming up here on Before the Bell at the YouTube Theater. It'll start off with a pair of South Central natives. Christek Basil-Dua is in his third pro fight, and he's looking to go 3-0 in a 4-round contest against the San Jose native Pedro Cruz. And then another South Central native, 21-year-old Jalen Walker, is in an 8-round affair with Jorge Villegas. The two bouts here on Before the Bell. Doors are open and the crowd already filing in, and that'll take us to the main card again, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on DAZN. Mark Castro in his first 10-round fight, also happening at 130 pounds. He's looked good, looked healthy this week. He'll be taking on Gonzalo Fuenzalida as Castro goes down in weight. Cal Yafai, Jonathan Rodriguez for the vacant WBA Intercontinental Bantamweight title. And then a world title fight. Myrlyn Rivas tries to make a third successful defense of her WBA Super Bantamweight world title when she takes on the former featherweight champion, Erica Cruz, the Mexican looking to become a 2-weight world champion. Then the main event, Diego Pacheco, Marcelo Coceres. And when we see the body of work that Pacheco has put in, he douses us with breathtaking highlight reel knockouts. If he can do the same tonight, what are we saying about Diego Pacheco then?
Listen, he has been a blue chip prospect for a long time. He's entering contender status. If he goes out there and does what he's been doing to guys, to a guy like Coceres, he's kicking that door down into contender status, and he's ready for the big shots.
And then we saw on the co-feature, the lead up to Fight Night here, Rivas, Cruz. We know what kind of wars Erica Cruz finds herself in. Rivas, hard puncher, fast puncher as well. What do you like about that matchup?
I like everything about that matchup. I think that fight's going to be a barn burner from the opening bell to the last round. I mean, they're both very, very talented, former champions, and they fight, both sides. So I think that's a can't-miss fight.
Yeah. Both fighters alluding to their matchup tonight as a war. So that's what we could expect here.
Yeah.
Whenever both fighters are using the same type of word like that, look out. Cal Yafai, Jonathan Rodriguez, true crossroads fight. You have a 10-year age difference between Rodriguez and Yafai, who comes in at 34 years of age, looking for that next world title run near the end of his career. This is a dangerous opponent for Cal Yafai.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw them on the scales yesterday. His opponent's in great shape. He looked very ready in terms of his mental, his fit, his aura. I think Yafai's in for a rough fight tonight.
I mentioned Castro looking healthy because usually during fight weeks we see the adversity that you have to go through as a fighter to cut weight. Mm-hmm. Didn't look like that. He looked like a full 130-pounder.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was big for 35, so now for him moving down to 130 and looking as good as he did yesterday, I'm looking forward to tonight. I mean, he's a very impressive guy. He's always in a good fight. But, man, at 130, I think he's just going to be a beast.
So that will kick off the main card, again, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Going to lead us up into the main event, Diego Pacheco, Marcelo Coceres, as we take a look at some of the action from yesterday's weigh-in. Again, 168-pound matchup between Pacheco and Coceres. There you see Marcelo Coceres. What stood out to you when we saw both of these guys on the scales yesterday?
The size of Pacheco. We talked about Mark Castro making weight and looking healthy. Pacheco, he looks bigger than ever and looked like he made the weight very easily. We spoke to him right after the weigh-in. He looked good. He looked full. He looked healthy. He's the only guy I was like, man, you're getting bigger but making weight easier.
Yeah, Coceres came in a full pound under 168 pounds. When you take a look at the ceiling of Pacheco here, like, what are we talking about in terms of weight? What do you think his ceiling is in terms of weight division?
You know, we were having that topic of discussion off air yesterday, and he even said, he's like, I can see myself as a cruiserweight at one point. I believe that too. You just look at him, you see the size of his head, his hands, his height, his obvious height. I think we could see him a multiple division world champion all the way up to cruiser.
Even at 6'4", it's pretty easy for Diego Pacheco to make weight at 168 pounds. So the sky is the limit, but he has to take care of business tonight against Marcelo Coceres. And this kicks off a sprint to the finish line in 2023 here on DAZN. Take a look at what's in store tonight and down the road as we conclude a fantastic year here in 2023.
This will be the greatest atmosphere you have ever witnessed in a boxing ring.
Here we go. Tremendous exchange once again at the end of the round.
That was one of the most incredible fights I've ever seen.
Ryan Garcia just ended it. Brutal by Devin Haney.
Big shots from Jake Paul. Classy, flashy stuff from Kelly.
Edwards clearly he can mix it at the highest level. This is a championship fight.
Stacked schedule here on DAZN through the end of 2023. Next weekend, of course, in Dublin with Cameron Taylor 2, but the focus is on tonight inside the YouTube Theater. This facility opened up 2 years ago, sits about 6,000, and it's rare when we do our Before the Bell. Let's be honest here, it's a light crowd that usually files in, but you feel the local flair behind us right now. There are a lot of supporters for not only Diego Pacheco, but two fighters that are on our Before the Bell card because they are LA natives in Krystek Basildua, Jalen Walker, each in their own individual matchup. With Basildua starting us off, I know you caught him in New Orleans on the Prograis Zaria undercard. What'd you like about the tall, lanky southpaw?
Yeah, this is one. Listen, I love a lot of things about this job. One of them is I get introduced to fighters like him that I get to follow throughout their career very early on. I get to see them progress. So I want to see what he learned from that last fight, what he could bring to the table tonight.
And here we have footage of them on the scales yesterday, kicking off the weigh-in show. There you see Pedro Cruz, 3-3 record out of San Jose. And he continued to gush the entire week, talking about how in the past, he really only has 1 or 2 weeks notice ahead of a fight. Had a full training camp ahead of this one. Says he's in his best shape of his pro career. But Basildua, there you see, he's going to be towering over his opponents when he's fighting at weight classes like this. But Basildua stressed the fact that you're going to see a much bigger jump in progression from fight 2 to fight 3 tonight than you saw in fight 1 to fight 2 back earlier in 2023. When you take a look at those young pros, you mentioned how much you look forward to meeting them, talking with them. What's the one thing that should be on their mind during year 1 as a professional?
I mean, stay busy. You got to stay busy, and not just in the ring, but in the gym. You always should be. You should be living in the gym at that point. You never know when a call might come, and you got to be ready for a fight. And the fights are short. You know, you take less damage in these 4-rounders early on. So just staying busy, staying active, staying in the gym. I think that's really important for young fighters. Basildua,
trained and coached by the Robles clan. Manny Robles, his head coach. It's been like that since he was an amateur. That doesn't happen often. The Robles gym doesn't usually invest their time with amateur fighters. They did with Krystek Basildua and his younger sister, Perla, who's an up-and-coming amateur, decorated amateur. So you'll have Basildua and Cruz, and then Jalen Walker going up against Pedro Villegas. He's got a couple of heavy hitters in that second and final match on Before the Bell. Walker ending a 14-month layoff here. He was quick out of the gate in terms of building up a young pro resume. Just 21 years of age, already with 11 wins. What stands out there?
I mean, if you look at him, he passes the eye test. He's very quick. He's very reactive. He's got speed. He's a southpaw. He's got all those boxes checked. So you can see a high potential for him. But you got to, like I said earlier, you got to stay busy, and he hasn't been. So I'm curious to see how he's going to take that layoff tonight and come back and knock that rust off quick.
Walker training out of Churchill Boxing Gym here in LA, so you could figure plenty of family and friends coming out in support here on Before the Bell. Let's take a look at the bigger picture, though, as we make our way here to the matches on Before the Bell, but focusing a little bit more time here on the main event, on the main card, Pacheco Coceres. What do people need to know about Coceres? So much attention this week focused on Diego Pacheco. Coceres, yes, a gatekeeper. I used this phrase yesterday. When you're a gatekeeper, you want to shed that label as quickly as possible. This is his chance tonight.
Well, with boxing, I mean, it's what have you done for me lately? If he gets a win here, he sheds that gatekeeper and he goes into being a potential contender down the line as well. He's a super tough guy, very, very durable, lots of experience. That's really the issue here. He's got more experience than Pacheco. Pacheco has everything else. He's got the height, he's got the reach, he's got the speed, he's got the youth. But Coceres, man, that experience, that's that thing that you can't always know how far it's going to take you, and I think Pacheco's in for a tough fight tonight.
Okay, Coceres took Billy Joe Saunders into deep waters, went the distance with Edgar Berlanga. That's what I'm curious to see later. If Pacheco is taken deep into this fight, what version are we going to see? Because it's going to be fairly new before our eyes with Diego Pacheco.
That's really the only question with Pacheco at this point, because he's been blowing guys out. He's been handling it so easily. He's been progressing so fast and doing so well. We want to see what happens if he has a little adversity. Adversity's not bad for a young fighter, because when you get to the top, you want to be ready for anything. Tonight might be one of those questions get answered or not. He might just do what he always does, and that would be very impressive against a guy like Coceres.
If he's able to do that, if he's able to get through Coceres, his toughest test in style, then you open up an entire different group of questions for Diego Pacheco in 2024. The questions that he'd like to answer himself, the questions he wants people to talk about and discuss at 168 pounds. He says he is as good as anyone, or that's his opinion, at 168 pounds. And the name that you often hear from Diego Pacheco is Edgar Berlanga. And 2024, again, if the style points are up there tonight for Pacheco, maybe that's a conversation that people need to start having.
Well, I think it's also it's important why and who he's fighting. You mentioned Coceres has fought Berlanga. He dropped him. He gave him as good as he could. It was a great fight, really a close back and forth fight that Berlanga had to pull out. Tore his bicep in the fight. Very, very tough night for him. If Pacheco can go out there and beat him better than Berlanga, that's just one more point that Pacheco can use in order to try and get that fight.
So we have Pacheco, Coceres coming up in our main event on the main card. Right now we begin before the bell. Basel Dua and Cruz starting us off, and leading it off in the ring is David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the YouTube Theater here in Los Angeles, California, USA. We are live on DAZN for a big night of World Championship Professional Boxing. And we begin tonight with a 4-round lightweight attraction set to make his ring walk, Pedro Angel Cruz.
There is 25-year-old Pedro Angel Cruz looking to bring his record back to 500 with a win tonight. He's 3-3, 2 knockouts, but is coming off a 4-round unanimous decision defeat against Tito Carlo on August 5th in Sacramento. And he'll be fighting in his 4th match of 2023. Cruz said throughout this week, again, this has been the best he's felt his whole career because he usually fights on really short notice. This time, the San Jose native had a full camp to prepare for the taller Basel Dua.
And now entering the arena, the young, undefeated El Flaco Cristec Bazaldua.
At only 19 and in his 3rd pro fight, Cristec Bazaldua is fighting in his hometown of Los Angeles. The 6-time national amateur champion grew up in South Central just like his friend Diego Pacheco, and after getting that experience earlier in 2023, getting his feet wet in the pro game in Mexico and in New Orleans, Bazaldua is looking to showcase the progress that he's made from those first 2 fights, and he earned the win in both, most recently pitching a shutout on the scorecards in a unanimous decision over John Fruto in the Prograis Zorilla undercard in June. Bazaldua, as you can see, he's tall, he's rangy, he's a southpaw, he has that combo of being a tough Mexican with an American boxing ability, and he's hoping to use those tools to start picking up some stoppages.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, good evening and welcome to the YouTube Theater here in Los Angeles, California, USA. We are live on DAZN for a big night of World Championship Professional Boxing. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored tonight by Bet Online and and stage front. All of tonight's bouts are sanctioned under the auspices of the California State Athletic Commission. The commissioner is Peter Villegas. The executive officer is Andy Foster. Introducing your 3 judges, scoring our first contest from ringside. Tiffany Clinton, Pam Hayashida, and Pat Russell. At the sound of the bell, your 3rd man in the ring, referee Thomas Taylor. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing scheduled in the lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he wears the black trunks with the gold trim. He scaled 138.8 pounds. His professional record, 3 victories against 3 defeats, with 2 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of San Jose, California. Please welcome Zurdo de Oro, Pedro Angel and his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears the white with gold, green, and red trim and scaled 136.6 pounds. His young professional record thus far perfect, 2 fights, 2 victories. Fighting out of South Central Los Angeles, California, by way of Guanajuato, Mexico, here is the 6-time national champion and the 2022 WBC U.S. Amateur Champion, El Flaco Criste Bazaldua.
Boxer Chief second. Chief second. All right, gentlemen. Belt line on both sides. We're going to use a full waistband, all right? You got my instructions in the back. Protect yourselves at all times. Listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corner, gentlemen.
Patrick? Mark, you good? Doc? I got you.
Thomas Taylor, the 3rd member in the ring, as we get going here on Before the Bell with Chris Algieri. I'm Justin Shackle, and we are underway here at the YouTube Theater. And there you see the 6'1" southpaw, Kristec Bazaldua, in the white trunks, the red trim, Pedro Cruz, the black and gold trunks. And already fast hands coming out of the chamber from Bazaldua. And Cruz said this week he needs to be first tonight, needs to get to work right away. It's the opposite right now. Bazaldua is setting the pace.
Yeah, when you got a height difference like that, you got to get inside that man's jab. But Bazaldua doing a great job using that feint and stiff jab right off the bat.
And Bazaldua 2-0. Looking for his first knockout tonight. He said he's done a terrific job in his own estimation. And he asked Manny Robles, he says the same thing. People around Matchroom, he's doing a better job sitting on his punches and asserting his power.
Well, there's already blood coming from the nose of Cruz. That's a good sign for the power of Bazaldua.
Ooh, solid combo, ending with the left hand for Bazaldua. And those punches look sharp.
Doing a great job setting up those left hands with that lead right hand from the southpaw position. He's got the jab, the hook, and he's landing that left hand as well now over the top. There it is again.
Early on, setting the tone with that left. And you see the blood on the right side of the pace of Cruz as Bazaldua goes downstairs.
I like that Bazaldua is not forgetting the body. He's having so much success landing upstairs, but he's not forgetting to go downstairs as well. Justin, you had mentioned that he was saying there was going to be a big difference between his last fight and this fight. And already I see it. He looks very, very disciplined, very poised. Definitely been working in the gym.
He's holding on to the jab. Now, good angle out from Bazaldua. He's essentially won, or he has won, every scorecard from the judges in his first 2 fights. Pitched a shutout in his last match back in New Orleans in June.
Yeah, the only knock on him is that he doesn't have those knockouts yet. But, I mean, the way he's fighting right now, he's looking really good. And I think there's going to be more stoppages in the future for Bazaldua.
Doubling up the jab, left cross from Bazaldua. He said that his performances, even though, again, he swept the scorecards, like, oh, another razor-sharp jab from Bazaldua. He wasn't content, wasn't happy, didn't feel like he met his expectations in those first 2 fights.
Yeah, when you got guys with such big amateur backgrounds, you expect them to go out there and start blowing people out, but that's not always the case. The pros is a very different world.
former top-ranked amateur in the U.S. at 139 pounds, 6-time national champion as an amateur. And Basel Dua controlling the action, bloodying up Pedro Cruz here in the first round of this 4-round match. Already Kristek all smiles in the corner.
I mean, after a round like that, I would be smiling too. He's got his man bloodied. He can't miss with the jabs in the left hands. Just, you mentioned that razor sharp jab. It's a punishing jab too. I think that's actually where the blood came from, was a good stiff jab down the middle. There we see a nice overhand left that was hidden by the hook, the lead hook of Basel Dua. Great job, good punch variation, mixing things up, and utilizing his height really well tonight.
You see Pedro Cruz, his head coach is his father, Yoel. Getting last-minute instructions there, coming out of the gate for round number 2. Cruz at 3-3 with 2 knockouts. Coming off a defeat back on August the 5th in Sacramento. Trying to hand Basel Dua his first pro defeat. Working from behind here, though, at the start of round 2. Basel Dua fought in June. He and Diego Pacheco very close. Pacheco's 3 years older. Basel Dua met Pacheco when he was 11 at Team Garcia LA gym. And they traveled around together going to some amateur tournaments. They both wanted to be on the same show at some point in the middle of the summer, but Basel Dua, when he was coming back to the gym from that fight in New Orleans, first session he had in the gym, he sprained his thumb, then suffered a setback. So he's finally healthy. Really feels that a time off allowed him to kind of clear his mind, refresh himself physically as well. And he's really excited to display what he's been able to learn during the summer months and in the early fall. It's looking good so far.
Yes, he's doing a very nice job in here tonight, painting his opponent like a master artist with that jab, busting up the nose, keeping him on the outside, utilizing his range.
And going downstairs, drilling the body with that left hand.
He's really having his way. Everything's working.
Trying to back up, measure that distance, that range from Basel Dua. He thought there could be advantages to facing a tall fighter like this at 130 pounds. If you're able to lower your body a little bit, you're going to force that taller opponent to perhaps overreach. But that's not the case right now. We're seeing nice punch placement, but Cruz coming back with a looping right hand.
Big shot.
And now the combos coming from the hands of Pedro Cruz. Might have stung Basel Dua there.
Yeah, that was a great shot.
And Cruz working the body. Tide turning a bit here in the second round. Basel Dua trying to fight back.
Cruz doing a really good job of punching with Basel Dua. And you mentioned that, listen, there are some advantages for being the shorter guy. On the inside, the range actually hurts the taller man being in close like that. Cruz is taking advantage of that by punching with Basel Dua. And he clipped him there with the overhand shot and a couple good body shots as well.
And it's led to his best stretch here in the fight. Again, 4 rounds, got to work quickly.
Cruz doing a good job of getting some respect. Basel Dua was having his way up until that point, got hit with that big overhand left. Might have stunned him.
Cruz really needed that. First round and a half, the momentum was all in the favor of Basel Dua, but a couple of combos there with that looping right hand that perhaps took a little bit of wind out of Basel Dua's sail, slowing him down just a bit as we close things out in round number 2.
And aside from slowing Basel Dua down, it actually sped Cruz up. You see him dodging punches now, rolling. He's got a whole different body language since he landed that shot.
Looking more aggressive. Good latter half to round 2 for Pedro Cruz.
There we see Basel Dua pumping that jab from the outside, mixing up his combos. But back came Cruz in the second half of the round. They were digging with some big body shots. And all of that came off the strength of an overhand left that he punched with Basel Dua and caught him as he was pulling back straight with his hand down.
There you see Manny Robles. Manny Robles the third. Edgar Hasso in the corner of Kristec Bazaldua. And more animated Yoel Cruz. He knows that his son perhaps made a dent in Bazaldua in that second half of round 2. Let's see what happens here in round 3. Scheduled for 4. Cruz in the black and gold trunks. Bazaldua in the white with the Mexican trim. Kristec Bazaldua trying to end his first calendar year as a pro on a high note. Cruz eats a left cross from Bazaldua, and another quick up jab from Kristec Bazaldua.
Bazaldua doing a good job of setting that tone, drawing a line in the sand, and keeping his man on the outside, utilizing that range.
Reestablishing the distance.
Sure, we got a tongue lashing in the corner. Get back to the stick, find that range, use your height.
Cruz trying to time him up. And they brace along the ropes. This is Cruz's 4th match of 2023. Good shot to the body from Bazaldua, utilizing that left hand. That's the area that Cruz is really leaving exposed, and it's an area that Bazaldua is consistently attacking.
Bazaldua is doing a great job of splitting the guard with that hard jab down the middle. He feints first, and then he throws that stiff, hard jab. It's a punishing jab, like I had said last round.
Goes downstairs with the left, comes back up with the right. Good three-punch combo from Bazaldua.
Cruz came back, though, with a shot. Bazaldua needs to bend those knees when he's going to the body. He stays a little too tall on the inside there, which is why Cruz is able to hit him with that right hand.
Good cover up from Cruz.
Let's go! Take it out!
It's been a sound, entertaining fight so far, but again, 4 rounds, so much urgency that's needed from both fighters.
I used to hate fighting 4-rounders. God forbid you get knockdown scored against you. You gotta make that ground up, and you don't have a lot of time.
Talking with Cruz during the fight week, he felt the same. He is eager to get to 6 rounds in his career.
Especially a guy, like we said, with so much amateur experience, so many fights under his belt. You know, you just want to get to those longer fights so you can really show what you got.
Oh, right hand delivered from Pedro Cruz. Then he doubles it up. And Bazaldua maybe a little bit stunned again as the combos coming alive from Pedro Cruz.
Again, it was the same mistake I had mentioned earlier, going down to the body and staying too tall on the inside. Got hit with that big right hook.
Pedro Cruz landing the overhead left. And Cruz commanding this final minute here in round 3.
Another big shot from Cruz.
Can Bazaldua regroup? Right uppercut landing as Cruz able to scrape the 6-time amateur champ. Couple of good shots from El Flaco at the end of round 3, but Cruz knows he is in this fight through 3 rounds.
A guy like Cruz is dangerous, man. If you let him get some confidence, you start to see him grow and become bigger and stronger. I think we're seeing that with Cruz as he lands these shots. When they were going turn by turn, it's Bazaldua all day. But when Cruz punches with Bazaldua, he's finding some holes for those shots and doing damage. That's the shot right there. It's that body shot from Bazaldua without bending his knees. It takes a long time for him to get that hand back up to his guard position. Cruz is taking advantage of that.
Manly Robles III advising Bazaldua as we get ready for the 4th and final round. And this is interesting, Chris. Neither fighter outside of that first round from Bazaldua has commanded rounds 2 and 3 fully. They've each had their brilliant moments, but Cruz has landed the more powerful, more impact shots in this fight.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting scorecard, and the judges, it depends what you like. Do you like the guy who's winning the majority of the round, or you like the guy who's doing the damage?
Here we go with round 4, 4th and final round between Bazaldua and Cruz. He's at a catch weight of 137, and a stunner from Bazaldua. Cruz's knees are weak, and he comes back upstairs with a right hook. Bazaldua connecting early on here in the 4th and final round.
Bazaldua needs to stay focused here.
Could that be the tone setter? Can Basel Dua focus in through the bell? Sneaks in a left cross once again, and Basel Dua turning up the temperature here in round 4.
Landing brilliant shots. That left hand, the eyes cut.
And it's waved off. That's gonna Basel do it. Kristek Basel Dua with his first stoppage in his backyard of Los Angeles. He takes Cruz out in the 4th round. And you look at the damage that happened in an instant, Chris. Basel Dua just turned it up a notch, and the blood continues to flow from Pedro Cruz. But Basel Dua with an impressive beginning to the 4th round, enough to take out Pedro Cruz.
3 separate cuts just from that round alone. Above the eye, below the eyebrow, on the nose. And that just shows you the damage that was being done. Basel Dua found some power. Gets his first stoppage. Got to be happy about that, especially with a tough guy like Cruz, who's coming on strong late in the rounds. Great statement from Basel Dua.
Very impressive opening 30 seconds to the final round. It was as if he completely erased everything that he saw from Pedro Cruz over the stronger spurts in the 2nd and 3rd rounds from the San Jose native.
Cruz put up a stiff challenge, but Basel Dua was super sharp tonight. You know, with him, it's just staying focused. When he's disciplined and fighting at range and keeping his hands up on the inside, he's a very, very dangerous young man. We saw that there. I would say that we are going to probably see some more knockouts in the future. This new style for Basel Dua was vast improvement from his last 2 fights.
So Basel Dua is going to move to 3-0, picks up his first KO. He does it with family and friends in attendance in his hometown of LA. 3rd pro fight, you're fighting in your backyard, and you put a performance together like that. So hats off to Kristek Basel Dua.
And he got rounds in. He knocked him out in the 4th round. So that much needed experience for the young fighter is very, very important.
Went to the 4th round. Got the 4th round stoppage, and we'll make it official with David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Thomas Taylor calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 46 seconds of round number 4, declaring your winner by knockout. He's still undefeated, El Flaco, Kristek Basel Dua.
Basel Dua picks up the victory. All hugs as he defeats Pedro Cruz with a 4th round knockout in his hometown of Los Angeles. The protege of Diego Pacheco, Kristek Basel Dua, starts us off as he gets his hands raised, and that was an impressive beginning to the 4th and final round. Kicked it up a few notches to dispatch Pedro Cruz. And it'll be all smiles for Basel Dua heading into the Thanksgiving holiday. Always a perk if you're a fighter and you get a fight in right before Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, it's much better to do your fight before Thanksgiving than after. Because when you're cutting weight and you got that turkey and all that, those stuffing and potatoes, that's no fun.
Basel Dua and his team. With the Robles staff getting their pictures taken as we take a look at the highlights of our opening bout here on Before the Bell between Basel Dua and Cruz. We saw a lot of strong moments from both fighters, but Basel Dua coming out, setting the tone in the first, and then closing it out. A bookend performance from the 19-year-old. Take a look at some of the action from the first round.
I had mentioned that, one of the knocks of Basel Dua is that power, but he came out, he showed some renewed strength in this fight, came out, bloodied his opponents in the nose in that first round with a beautiful sharp jab that he was utilizing throughout the night to set up his power shots like those right there, but also going down to the body. But Cruz, in great shape, came to fight, super tough guy, started punching with Basel Dua, landed some big shots, definitely got the attention of the young Kristek. But as the fight wore on, the skill set, the power punching, and the renewed or recently found power of Basel Dua was the difference. With those left hands, there's that shot from Cruz that caught Basel Dua with that left hand down. But then that 4th round, Basel Dua came out looking super sharp, very focused, hurt his man with a left hand, and just did not let him off the hook. Raining down left hands from every position, busting up the nose. cutting the eye. 3 separate cuts all along in that final round. Great job by Krzysztof Bazaldua.
He asserted his aggression in the early stages of that 4th round to pick up the stoppage. Cruz, I thought, did a pretty good job in the 2nd and 3rd round, able to time the distance right, but he didn't have anywhere to go in that 4th round. Bazaldua kept him right at the perfect length that he would want.
Yeah, Bazaldua, that 4th round he came out and he did what he should have been doing the whole time, maintaining that distance, using the length, making sure you're minding your hand position. So Cruz just had no answer for it. You know, the difference in skill set was obvious.
All right, 1 down, 1 to go here on Before the Bell. Coming up, Jalen Walker going up against Jorge Villegas. That'll lead us into the main card tonight on DAZN, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. The main card starting off with Mark Castro. It leads us all the way to the end of the night with Diego Pacheco and Marcelo Coceres here at the YouTube Theater in Inglewood. We showed you what was happening in the weeks ahead on DAZN to close out 2023. We are now less than 1 month away from a big-time dance in the desert. It is Rodriguez Edwards coming up December 16th in Glendale.
16th of December, Arizona, we go to work.
Jesse Rodriguez against Sonny Edwards is just a fantastic fight.
You now have one piece of the 112-pound crown. What do you want to do next?
Sonny Edwards, that's the only option.
I want to see an undisputed champion in the flyweight division.
Sign the contract.
Rodriguez is probably the biggest puncher in the division.
That's the reason he signed with Matchroom and with DAZN.
I think this is genuinely as elite can get.
The big unification to come against Jesse Rodriguez.
He's going to have to be switched on to every single second of every single round.
Bam Rodriguez, where are you?
Rodriguez putting on the performance of a lifetime. Oh, lovely long left hook. All in. Sink or swim.
This one of the best fights of the year, pound for pound.
Flyweight unification coming up December 16th in Glendale. I know you and I, we've had the pleasure of watching Bam Rodriguez up close in person. We're anxious to watch Sonny Edwards in person here in the States. What do you like about that matchup?
I mean, it's elite. They said that. This is the elite of the elite. It really is. These guys are at the top of their division. They both want to fight each other, which is, that adds some extra energy to it. I mean, these guys they're both phenomenal. We've been calling Bam for a while now. He's one of the most fun fighters to watch out there today. But Sonny Edwards can really box, man, and he's got the skill set to be able to turn off Bam Rodriguez and all that power that he's got. I'm really looking forward to this fight, and I think this is a sleeper fight where a lot of people are kind of overlooking it, but this is one of the best fights of the year.
Bam and Sonny in Glendale coming up December 16th. Coming up next here on Before the Bell, we have Jalen Walker, Pedro Villegas, as we take a look back at yesterday's weigh-in for these two fighters. That'll conclude the action on Before the Bell. 8 rounds between Walker and Villegas. And again, Jalen Walker ending a 14-month layoff. When you're watching a young pro, this is usually the case, obviously. Young pros are usually very active, but when you have a fighter ending off a lengthy layoff like that, is there something you're looking out for in that opening round?
Yeah, I want to see him go out there and establish the tone right away. If there's any kind of rust, don't let your opponent know it. We spoke in the last fight about Cruz. You know, those guys are dangerous. If you let them get a little confidence behind them, they can make it a very tough fight. I want to see Jalen go out there, use that jab, use that speed, use that reaction that he has, and really disarm his opponent. Don't let that rush show.
Walker's looking for his 10th knockout in his 13th pro fight. And you talk about knockouts. Villegas, he has 13 KOs in 14 wins. He's 14-1, but there's still a lot to find out, a lot to know from a guy making his U.S. debut.
Yeah, I mean, if you look past the numbers of the record, he hasn't fought a who's who of competition by any means. This is the biggest fight of his career for sure, fighting Jalen. Huge step up. Both guys can punch, but let's see how real those knockouts are.
Jalen Walker competing here at the YouTube Theater. He last fought at the LA Galaxy Stadium. He's a LA native, we know this. He was also brushing elbows and also closing gaps, switching angles on some of LA's finest athletes. We're talking about Lakers superstar Anthony Davis. There was some big-time social media footage over the summer. Anthony Davis was working out at the Churchill Boxing Gym. That's where Jalen Walker works out. And you have this 130-pounder getting into the ring with a 7-foot NBA superstar. And I'll tell you what, Jalen Walker made Anthony Davis miss every single time. So you had about a guy with a 10-foot reach virtually. That's what Jalen Walker amounted it to. Walker doing a terrific job. His social media blew up there, and he takes his talents into the ring tonight here against Jorge Villegas in front of some family and friends, as this is also a fighter that is decorated on the amateur circuit, looked to stay busy. Again, got set back with illnesses, some management issues, but he's ready to roll and come through with his 13th pro fight tonight. So we are all ready to go for our second match, 8 rounds between Walker and Villegas. Here is David Diamante.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the YouTube theater here in Los Angeles, California, USA, we are set to go with a special super featherweight attraction. Set to make his ring walk, Jorge Alberto Villegas.
Like he packs a big punch based on his resume, like Chris and I just mentioned. 14-1, 13 knockouts. In his last fight, Villegas recorded a 4th-round TKO over Jose Valdez back on August 19th in Mexico. And there's a lot of unknowns with Villegas, like we mentioned, like how his power will translate in what is a step up in competition for him. Villegas says tonight is a huge opportunity, the opportunity of a lifetime. He intends on making the most of it in his U.S. debut.
And now entering the arena, the undefeated Jalen Skywalker.
Quick walk to the ring for Jalen Walker, all business. Heck, he's been out of the ring for 14 months, wants to get back in it, right? Aggressive, slick southpaw from South Central, 21 years of age, 11-0-1, 9 KOs, his second time on a matchroom card, the first all the way back in December of 2020 on a Triple G card. Walker was only 18 at the time. Got a lot of run early in his pro career. He's been out of action for those 14 months. He dealt with a bout of rhabdomyolysis and management issues like we mentioned. And tonight, his first match since earning a unanimous decision win over 6 rounds against Moises Gomez back in last September. 12 fights total, 11 wins, going for his 10th knockout tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Los Angeles, California, USA, live on DAZN, we are set to go with a special super featherweight attraction. It's all being brought to you courtesy of Mr. Eddie Hearn of Matchroom Boxing. We're sponsored by Bet Online and Stagefront. Introducing your 3 judges scoring this contest from ringside: Dr. Lou Moret, Alejandro Rochin, and Zachary Young. And at the sound of the bell, your 3rd man in the ring, referee Gerard White. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 8 rounds of boxing scheduled in the super featherweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the red trunks with the silver trim. He's scaled 131.6 pounds. His professional record, 14 victories against 1 defeat. He has 13 big wins coming by way of knockout. Presentando de Los Mochis, Sinaloa, Mexico, Jorge Alberto Villegas. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the blue corner. He wears white with the gold trim. He's scaled already 131.2 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign as a professional with a record 11 fights, no defeats, 1 draw, with 9 of his 11 wins coming by way of knockout. He fights out of right here in Los Angeles, California. Ladies and gentlemen, Jalen Skywalker.
Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. Trunks are good here, trunks are good here. Let's touch them up and we can go to work.
Ready, Mark? Mark. Ready?
Second and final bout here on Before the Bell, about to commence between Jalen Walker wearing the white and gold trunks, Skywalker across the waistband, and Jorge Villegas in the red trunks with the white trim down the sides. 2 boxers that can bang. 8 rounds. And already a big-time collision in round number 1.
Jalen Skywalker, one of my favorite boxing nicknames in the current crop of young fighters.
It forces you not to be corny with some one-liners. We don't want to talk about force or, Jedi powers, none of that stuff. Walker trying to go downstairs, then they embrace.
These guys got to watch their heads. We got that classic style matchup.
Southpaw, orthodox.
Yep. Couple close calls already.
You have to figure Walker super anxious to get back to action, get into this moment as he peppers Villegas with a sharp left hand.
Notice Villegas, he's very heavy over that front foot. Jalen Walker attempted an uppercut earlier. I think it was a very smart move. You got a guy so heavy on that front foot, that shot's going to be there.
3-punch combo headlined by the double jab from Walker. And another solid left hand. Villegas fighting back.
And we mentioned Villegas and that power with the 13 KOs. He does look like he hits hard, though. He looks like he has heavy hands. Walker needs to be careful. Use that jab. Use his quickness.
Villegas inching forward here in round 1. Trying to figure out his range, but he's smothered by that right hand from Walker.
Yeah, Walker doing a really good job of setting the tone, fighting from a distance and countering Villegas as he steps in. Nice feint there. There's that uppercut. Beautiful shot. Lead hand uppercut, big left hand behind it.
Scraped him with the right hand, and now Villegas on the back foot.
Yeah, Villegas is hurt.
A wide left hook cracks Villegas. Walker perhaps seizing the moment. 45 seconds to go. Walker covering up as Villegas gets closer inside, and there you saw the uppercut again. There was another moments ago. Walker with a left hand uppercut after the first 2 right hand uppercuts.
Walker's looking very sharp tonight. I don't see much ring rust, if any.
Again, 14 months out of the ring, cracks him with a right hand. And a good spin out from Walker, changing directions after some pounding punches.
Yeah, Walker doing a really good job of staying off those ropes. He's landing those shots, like you said, spins off, gets back to the center.
A 2-punch combo to punctuate an impressive opening round for Jalen Skywalker. There you see Walker and his trainer, Pedro Neme. And as we take a look at the action from the first round.
Good job setting up that lead, that left hand with that lead hand. Jalen Walker. Villegas landed some good shots too, but that was mostly Walker doing all the good work in that first round, setting things up beautifully, being defensively sound. That's the first round that you want when you haven't been in the ring for 14 months.
Walker feeling himself as we get going with round 2. A lot of support in this room for the 21-year-old out of South Central. Grew up back and forth between South Central and Gardena. Introduced to boxing by his father, Norman, former amateur boxer. His grandfather boxed as well. Again, exquisite footwork on the angle out from Walker.
Yeah, it was a beautiful spin out. Pushed his man, get back to the center of the ring, like I was saying.
Walker called boxing his religion. Made him a soldier. He said he still has a social life, but he's regimented, he's disciplined. It's been like that from a young age. He wants to reward his family, his father specifically. His father, Norman, making a whole lot of sacrifices to get Jalen to the pro ranks.
Good check right hook there from Jalen. I always tell these young guys, have a social life later. Focus on boxing. Get it done while you're young.
Saying he always had that boxing mindset. When he was young, he'd go to pizza parties. He wouldn't touch the pizza. Birthday parties. He ain't eating cake.
That's the life of a boxer.
Yep.
but the juice is worth the squeeze.
Walker trying to return on a high note.
Beautiful left hand. He's mixing up those left hands so nice. Straight down the middle. Some of them are a little bit loopy over around the gloves. There's that uppercut.
Coming in with that left underneath of Villegas. Walker in full control right now, dodging a right hand from Villegas as they tie up in the center of the ring.
Villegas is tough. He's in there trying to throw, but he's getting outclassed right now.
Walker described himself as an aggressive, slick southpaw. You're seeing that. You also see what he calls a West Coast attitude here. He said, I don't just want to win. I want to beat and give it to you.
He's giving Villegas all he can handle tonight. Looking very sharp here.
Great head movement from Walker there as they tie up. Villegas holding on. Walker has the timing down. Villegas came in with a wide left hook.
That's what I like to see, that discipline where he's still being conscious of his defense, picking off those shots, even at mid-range.
Villegas maybe sneaking in a left hand to the lower body of Walker. Jalen coming back upstairs, then dumping a right hand to the body of Villegas. Chip left hook from Walker and scraping him with the left uppercut.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might be smart for Jalen to go down to the body. You got a tough guy in front of you. Who's a puncher, you want to take some of that power away by touching the body.
Backs Villegas up with a straight shot to the head, then goes back downstairs.
Trade shots there.
Villegas hanging tough. That one catching him off balance a bit. Now he's locked against the ropes, and the combinations coming from Jalen Walker. Villegas trying to hold on, and he won't last. 5 seconds left on the clock, and Walker cleans him out. Jalen Walker returning with a statement, his 10th KO. He dispatches Villegas. Welcome back, Jalen Sky Walker. You see Eddie Hearn, Troop Chairman here in LA, taking in before the bell as Jalen Walker is able to return and improve to 12-0.
Really impressive stuff from Jalen Walker. Like I said, there was no sign of any ring rust. He came out, he was sharp, he was fast, he was powerful. Here we see some of that action, finishing Villegas along the ropes. And here, not all those shots are landing, but Villegas was certainly hurt from a shot early on. It was just too many punches unanswered by Jalen Skywalker, and the ref stepped in and stopped it. Can't really complain on that. Either got to hold, go down, or punch back.
We are good to go to make it official. As Walker victorious here on Before the Bell.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Gerard White calls a halt to this contest. The official time of the stoppage, 2 minutes and 55 seconds of round number 2. Declaring your winner by knockout, he's still undefeated, Jalen Skywalker.
That is a young man who's very happy to be back.
Yes. 14-month layoff, had a bout of rhabdomyolysis, like we mentioned, had management issues, is now teamed up with Charlie Sims. Back in action here in LA, Jalen Walker has his arm raised in victory, improving to 12-0-1 now with 10 knockouts. He wants his people in for his picture. It's a big moment.
And he looks like he could do a whole nother fight, right back to back.
Absolutely. Didn't get too many rounds in. as he dealt Jorge Villegas his second pro loss, his first knockout defeat. Villegas falls to 14-2 now. So we see two promising LA natives, both with stoppages here on Before the Bell. I think they want the entire room in the ring, Chris, for these pictures.
He said he hasn't been in the ring in 14 months. He wants to take this time. Wants to cherish it. Man, I used to remember that. After fights, after a win, especially when you're young, that time in the ring is all yours, man. You don't want to leave.
Taking a look at some of the highlights from this match as Jalen Walker made short work of Jorge Villegas here at YouTube Theater. And when they got going, we saw the aggressive and the slick footwork from Jalen Walker.
Super sharp throughout. He's using a brilliant jab, good feints, good distance control. Anytime that Villegas did get close, he either tied him up or spun him. Controlled the center of the ring, landed big power shots throughout. Villegas was tough. It seemed like he had a good chin, was taking the shots early on, but it was just too many punches, too many power shots from Jalen Skywalker. Landing big shots. There is the man of the hour right here. Great job, great job. We're just watching your handiwork.
Jalen Walker joining us in studio as he dispatches Pedro Villegas. Gets his hand raised right there, improves to 12-0-1, 10 knockouts in his return to the ring as we welcome you back here to Before the Bell in the studio. Chris Algieri, Justin Shackle, and the man you just saw victorious in the ring, Jalen Walker. All right. You didn't get too many rounds in tonight, but I think you feel pretty good about the statement
I made a statement, man. I'm coming. I want everybody. I'm coming for the 30-pound division. I'm number one. I'm coming to take everybody out. So this is just the start. Next year I could be busy. I had a super long layoff. It wasn't my fault. I was in the gym. I was training my ass off, but I'm ready. I'm here, and I'm ready to go.
How good does it feel to be back in the ring?
It's the best feeling ever. Yeah. I had 13 fights canceled on me last year. 13 fights. People were asking for too much money or canceling out, so I'm ready. I'm here to show them. I'm here to show them what I'm about.
How quickly did you know that you had your timing down against Villegas?
I hit him with that left. His legs did a little shiver. I'm like, all right, maybe step on it.
Were you surprised that it was stopped with 5 seconds left to go in the round?
No, he was hurt. He wasn't there. I seen his eyes roll behind his head, so I was like, it's fair. Yep.
Who were you motioning to? It looked like you wanted the entire YouTube theater in the room with you for these celebratory pictures in the ring.
Yeah, man, I'm just very proud. Just all the hard work me and my dad put in, man. I want to make my dad proud and my family proud and my coach proud, My coach is from Argentina, so any other Argentinian fans, what's up?
Well, you definitely made a statement. There's going to be a lot of eyes on you now, so great job. Fantastic performance. I loved your distance control, your control around the ring. Really, really good stuff.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Jalen. Jalen Walker victorious here on Before the Bell as we count down toward Pacheco Coceres here in Los Angeles. In a couple of weeks, we make our way up the coast to San Francisco for Haney Prograis on DAZN pay-per-view.
You can hear me? I gotta step on you. I gotta crush you. You in my way.
I'm breaking you down, bro. I'm breaking your heart. I'm breaking your will. I'm gonna take everything from you.
It's levels, and I'm at the highest.
Everybody that's there, all your people, bro, they gonna see you get knocked out, and I'm gonna knock you out cold.
Regis, I'm coming for you.
Haney Prograis coming up December the 9th at Chase Center in San Francisco on DAZN pay-per-view. A stacked undercard to lead into Devin Haney and Regis Prograis as well. And I tell you what, those two, they're selling the fight really nice. On X, on social media, those two bringing the fire as we count down toward December the 9th, a 140-pound clash. What do you like about that one?
Man, listen, it's two guys who seem like they don't like each other. They really want to get after it. This is a huge opportunity for both men. Haney is a super talent moving up, so it's a fantastic matchup. Haney couldn't take a step back. He moved up. He just fought Lomachenko. He's undisputed. He's going up a weight. He had to fight the boogeyman of the division, and that's Regis Prograis.
Haney jumping up to 140 pounds, the precision there. Prograis with his power. Regis Prograis adamant that it's not just power with him. You are going to see boxing skill on top of the power that he possesses. Power he believes that can knock out Devin Haney. And he also said that his Matchroom debut wasn't the best display of his natural abilities. I'm sure he's eager to showcase a better performance than he did back in New Orleans against Zorrilla.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we have off nights, and he wasn't making any excuses about that fight. He just had an off night. You know, fighting at home is tough. I've done it a ton of times. It's very, very difficult. He didn't make any excuses. I tip my hat to him to that. Unfortunately for boxing, you're only as good as your last fight. His last fight wasn't a great performance, but listen, it got him this fight, and that's what's important. He's got to go out there and show out and do what he's done in the past.
All right, talk about fighting in your hometown. Diego Pacheco fighting in his hometown tonight as we take a look at the remaining schedule here in 2023. We have Cameron Taylor 2 in Dublin. And next Saturday, and then December the 2nd, Mick Conlon, Jordan Gill going at it, leading into Haney Prograis on DAZN pay-per-view December the 9th at Chase Center. And the fight that we were talking about a little bit earlier on, Rodriguez-Edwards in Glendale, Arizona, December 16th. That also leads us into December 23rd, the big clash in Saudi Arabia with Anthony Joshua in action. But a stacked lineup, stacked schedule here on DAZN, running through the end of 2023. That's going to wrap it up for us here. 2 matches in the books, 2 stoppages, 2 impressive LA kids stamping their mark here on the scene on DAZN, and now they're going to be able to watch Diego Pacheco against Marcelo Coceres. Pacheco is a guy that a guy like Christek Balzadua said set the blueprint for kids like him in South Central. Closing thoughts as we look forward to Pacheco Coceres tonight.
Listen, it's been a fantastic. We only had 2 fights, but they were great fights. It's a perfect lead-in for what we got. There's still a ton of action left tonight. I'm looking forward to pulling up a seat and watching now.
YouTube Theater is going to be packed. Diego Pacheco in his LA homecoming, 22 years of age, with his stiffest test yet in Marcelo Coceres. For our entire Matchroom crew, for Chris Algieri, I'm Justin Shackle. Thanks for watching with us here on Before the Bell. The action continuing on DAZN, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Enjoy Pacheco Coceres, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. From the 4 corners of the world, to the 4 corners of this ring, the fight starts now!